Matt O'Brien, 3400 Main Street. I'm here tonight for the people who are being left behind by this damaging toll program. I'm here to urge the council to vote for the no tolls resolution that will hopefully be considered tonight. I'm here for the public school teacher who commutes by highway to school every day, pays for gas, pays all her student loans, pays for her kids' expenses, doesn't have enough money to make do every day. I'm here for her to keep that money in her pocket. I'm here for my blue-collar friends who commute to Manchester and Hartford, who don't make a ton of money, but they work hard. And they have to make sure that every dollar fits. And every single time they go to work, they're going to have to pay a toll. It doesn't work for them. I'm here for the Coventry farmers who bring goods and produce to market every day, who will be taxed through tolls, and who may pass through those expenses onto consumers, making food and everything more expensive for everyone. I'm here for the families with medical conditions who drive into Rockville General Hospital for MRIs and Glastonbury for prenatal care and Children's Medical Center in Hartford and Meriden for dialysis. I'm here for the people who don't know how this toll plan will work. Here's how it's going to happen. You're going to have a credit card, and that credit card is going to be connected to an Easy Pass. And guess what? What happens if you have a problem this month and your bills are due and your credit card is maxed out? You're either not driving to work or you're paying a $50 fine. Just like New Jersey, just like Maryland, 30% of the $1 billion that they allege will be coming in for toll revenues will come from fines, taxes and fees on top of that Easy Pass. That's 30% more punishment dollars coming out of the pockets of people who already can't afford it. That's not right. That means that people who can't make ends meet in any given month are paying 20% interest on their credit card, and they're getting a fine. And nobody that lives below their means in this state has the ability to take the risk, and our government acts like a payday lender sometimes. It's not right. It can't happen. This tolling plan does not work for the poor people in our cities any more than it works for our small towns like Coventry, who are struggling to get by. These tolls will go through all of our major cities. They'll touch all the people who can least afford it. These tolls will affect Connecticut businesses, Coventry businesses, more traffic diverted onto our local roads, people choosing to rip through Coventry and 384 to avoid tolls on I-84, unprecedented environmental impacts, unprecedented direct maintenance costs to Coventry taxpayers. Connecticut is not the sum of the dollars collected in taxes. It's the sum of the people of Connecticut. It's not a Republican or a Democrat issue by any means. This is an issue of fairness. It's not how Connecticut is, and it's not how Connecticut should be. We should all be standing with the poor, with the people who recognize that this is a terrible way to pay for infrastructure and hurts terribly the people who don't have enough money to make this work and make ends meet. We can cut costs and make the gas taxes that we already collect work. There are plenty of places to cut spending. Consider the $500 million plus we're spending to bail out the city of Hartford, the $45 million per year that we spend on the XL Center, or brass statues being erected in New Haven. Connecticut spends $99,417 per mile in administrative costs, the highest in the country, and 9 times the national average of $10,864. Administrative costs per mile increased almost 20% between 2016 and 2018. In total, Connecticut spends $497,000 per mile of road, the 44th most expensive in the nation. Average cost per mile nationally is $178,000. Connecticut drivers pay 43.8 cents per gallon in gas taxes, the 7th highest in the country when petroleum gross receipts taxes are taken into account. Texas and Florida, both huge states in comparison to Connecticut, have the most tolls in the country with 25 and 21 respectively, and Connecticut's toll plan would make us the most tolled state in the country by double. The amount of money that has gone into the Special Transportation Fund has been enough to give us the most state-of-the-art roads and bridges in the entire world. But sadly, it's not been spent on those things. It's been siphoned off into the general fund to expand government in the wrong places. And there are no plans to reduce our gas tax if tolls are installed. Massachusetts, in fact, takes in less money in tolls than Connecticut takes in gas taxes that Massachusetts doesn't have. The current plan for tolls would install a gantry every 6 miles on every major highway. Other states that have tolls have them only on 1 or 2 major highways, like Massachusetts, for instance, only has them on the Mass Pike. The federal government gives us a sizable amount of money for not having tolls.
Matt, excuse me, could you wrap it up?
Sure.
Because it's 5 minutes and that's what we...
Tolls will add costs to every product sold in our state. This will affect the poorest among us and those on fixed incomes who are already having difficulty paying the highest electricity costs in the nation and some of the highest property taxes anywhere. If we keep doing things to chase away lifelong residents like my sister, who's now a public school teacher in New Hampshire, and businesses like GE and Aetna, our economy will only shrink further and the tax burden will continue to rise for all of us who remain here, further damaging our chances to rebound. The bottom line is that the state does not need any additional revenue, not for roads and bridges or for anything else. The state government must adapt to current tax revenues. Every state around us is managing with far less per citizen. What we need are leaders who know how to prioritize, who are willing to put the needs of our citizens ahead of their own interests, and fight for those among us unable to speak for themselves. And you all can be those leaders. Please stand up for Coventry's most vulnerable, and please consider carefully this resolution against this damaging toll plan that legislators will likely bring to the floor this week. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Grady. I live at 42 Cornwall Drive. Matt and Richard are right. Whether or not we have tolls in Connecticut is not a political issue. It's not for the Democrats or the Republicans. It's about public safety. And everyone knows that the roads and bridges are in bad repair in many parts of this state, and they need to be fixed. And to do that costs money. Now, when I go to visit family and friends in New York or at the Cape or up in New Hampshire, I pay a toll. And my toll to those states help them fix their roads. And one of the things that we understand is that 40% of the money collected if they install tolls will be paid by out-of-state people, which I believe, since I pay it to other states also, but not in Connecticut. If we don't fix these roads and bridges now, they are going to fail, and we don't want to see that happen. So the choice is how the roads and bridges get fixed. We either put in the tolls, or one of the suggestions is that we bond for it, which means that we don't pay for it as we go, but we pay, and we pay 60% if out-of-state people are paying the 40%. We are going to wind up paying 100% plus interest. So I think that it's really wise to have tolls in Connecticut, which won't happen in the next 2 or 3 years, probably 4 years down the road, but we have to do something about it. And I think that at the state legislature, we'll be considering all these plans. So I don't think that town by town we should put in roadblocks for whatever discussions they're going to have to fix these bridges to keep us safe. Thanks.
It's going to affect my family in a number of different ways. My wife drives from the University of Connecticut in Farmington to Coventry every day. It's incredibly expensive what they're proposing. My kid drives sometimes to the university in Farmington. Again, it's another expense that's burdened to my family. As you know, I own a small business here in town. I have 2 vehicles. I drive quite a few miles on those highways. Last year, I spent $7,000 in fuel. And I did the quick calculation. It's about 2,200 gallons or $1,200 in state taxes for that fuel. What's being proposed are tolls. And the expense of those tolls is sort of, I don't even know what it's going to be. God knows what it's going to be. No one in this room knows how it's going to affect me or my family or my business. But I know it's not going to be kind. Again, I go back, Monica travels. We can use some numbers on what we think the tolls are going to cost because no one really knows. But I figured my wife is going to cost me $1,000 a year just to get her back and forth to Yukon. And then we take my child, and we'll use a number of him, maybe $200. Again, it's just a guesstimate because there's no real numbers. And then my small business, I figured it's going to cost me another $2,000 a year just to deliver the products that I deliver in the greater Hartford area. So when you take that all total, let's say it's going to be $3,200 a year. Think about that for a minute. $3,200 in tolls. Just for me. That's me. That's my family. My family. $3,200. All you kids in the room, how much is $3,200? Is it a lot or is it a real lot? Thank you. So it's a lot. So we take the $3,200, then we take the $1,200. So I pay $4,400 a year in taxes just to use my vehicles. So you got to think about it. I pay $1,200. I'm going to pay another $3,200. I have $3,200 less disposable income for my family. $3,200. That's a lot of dough. I mean, is anybody at this table, you got $3,200 less laying around that you can hand out? It's just crazy. Most of the people in this town, unless they work for the school system or the town, go out of town. They're going to pay tolls as well. So what we're doing is we're going to take all of this disposable income and we're not going to be able to spend it. I mean, you're not going to have the money to spend. Every citizen, every family in this town is going to have less disposable income. Now that's the income side of it. Then we think about the traffic. Now, all the kids at Yukon, all the kids in this room who have a driver's license, who are now going to have Easy Pass or find another way to do it, they're not going to take the highway. They're going to go right down our rural roads and find a way to avoid paying those tolls because it's sort of like a got me. I didn't have to pay the toll. And we know we've all done it. We've all found ways to save money. So we're going to have more traffic, more expenses. It's just unconscionable. I can't even think about it. I mean, I get so angry with it. So, Joan, I'm so thankful that you put this on the agenda. And I look forward later in this meeting to hear how our town leaders feel about this regressive tax and how it's going to impact our rural town. And it's my hope that this will not be tabled or not brought up for discussion. As a reminder, and for the kids in this room, our then governor-elect governor, Mr. Lamont, ran on a platform that it was going to be just tractor trailers. So that was his platform. It was just going to be tractor trailers. And now our governor, Lamont, lied. He lied. Let's call it what it really is. He lied. He's going to tax everyone. Every person's going to get taxed. And that alone should be enough to anger everybody on this council, that our leadership could mislead the citizens of the state. I mean, it's just horrible. And then the Democratic leaders of the state of Connecticut now are emboldened with power and seem to feel that everything is fair game. So I'm hopeful that our town council will at least pass this resolution opposing the tolls, the taxes, and the extra expense of another grand scheme to take more money out of the pockets of the taxpayers of this town. And I'm really thankful for all the work that you people put in. I mean, I know how much time and effort goes into it, and I'm grateful that you all do it. Thank you.
We're now at item D. Julie requested this be put on the agenda, and actually it was a little bit short of the required time because it was supposed to be 5 days. There's several hours. We are short of the 5 days, but I did put it on based on your request. But I just wanted to point that out because It is supposed to be,
Start ticking.
it's supposed to be 5 full days, so just so all council members know that for future reference.
So 5 o'clock on Thursday or Wednesday? Or 7 o'clock on Wednesday or Thursday?
It was just short some hours, so I'm just,
When would it be needed to be in by,
Wednesday.
typically?
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 7, before that?
Close of business.
Close of business. Thursday, Friday.
7:30 is the meeting start time.
I thought I had it to you by Wednesday morning. Maybe I was wrong.
but I just wanted to point that out so people would know.
I think you could be wrong.
I thought I counted Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Anyways, I'd like to make a motion that this council adopt a no-toll resolution that we will send to the state.
Is there a second?
You want to read it? You want me to read it?
It's been moved and seconded, we all have the resolution.
I'd like to read it if I may. A resolution from the Coventry Town Council in opposition to the installation of tolls on local and state roads. Whereas the council further believes the increased traffic on our secondary roads would affect the quality of life of Coventry residents in numerous ways, including but not limited to a dramatic increase of heavy-duty commercial vehicles and tractor-trailer truck presence encroaching on our scenic New England community, negatively impacting the town's character and atmosphere, a dramatic increase in traffic by heavy-duty commercial vehicles and tractor-trailers subjecting streets to increased damage, maintenance, and repair costs, resulting in an increased tax burden, crowding of secondary roads, an increase in traffic accidents and disruption of the pedestrian enjoyment and residential property values on and adjacent to the main road affected, traffic congestion from increased vehicles and accidents, delaying response time for local emergency personnel, causing significant safety concerns, and compromising the standard of safety care and increasing the cost of public safety to the taxpayers of the town of Coventry. Further discouraging retail establishments and shopping, putting our valued local businesses at a competitive disadvantage and increasing costs and decreasing convenience to residents. The subjection of our residents to a new estimated tax of $900 to $1,100 per year for commuters traveling from Coventry to Hartford for work per person. The regressive nature of the proposal failing to take into account the income level of working people. Now therefore be it resolved that the Coventry Town Council does hereby declare its opposition to the implementation of tolls on state highways leading to the aforementioned negative effects to the town of Coventry, and be it further resolved that the Coventry Town Council does hereby submit this resolution to the Governor of the State of Connecticut and the Connecticut State Legislature this 20th day of May 2019.
So the email response that we've gotten to this through our town council email has been 100% in favor of us passing this.
I only got a text, two, I was gonna say 2 or 3 emails, right?
Hey, so 100%.
I'm not sure they all lived in town either because there were no addresses.
One of them might have been in town.
So under discussion, I've been attending a number of the no tolls events, and people are, some from Coventry that I've been with, but others from other towns as well, are upset. I think this is an additional tax. The state is already proposing, I don't know if you've ever read the list, but there's dozens and dozens of new taxes on all of our residents. I think that it's an unfair burden on low-income people, but also on, regular businesses. Businesses are either going to absorb this, which is going to be very difficult, or they're going to pass it on to consumers. So it's going to be an inflationary effect on the cost of goods and services. It's going to cost us individually, not just traveling to work, but everywhere you go. If you're going to be going to the doctors or to sporting events or taking your kids to all the different various things that you do with all this. And so that's all going to add up, and it's not just going to be the $1,000 a year, and that's for the residents. I also am more cognizant now as to the inefficiency of our state government as far as how they do road management. We're actually, I believe it's 50th in administrative cost per mile in the United States and 46th in overall performance and cost effectiveness. We have to be able to do better. There's lots of money available. If you just look at how much we're actually collecting from our gas tax and understanding that the part of the gas tax is tied to a percentage of the actual cost of the oil and gas. It's going to continue to rise as the cost of gas goes up already. So it's not, even if I've heard of kind of talk about a proposal to eliminate 1 cent per gallon for 5 years or something. But, that's going to have zero impact if the cost of gas continues to rise anyway. It's just going to be offset. Besides that, something that's not being considered, the United States government is considering a $2 trillion infrastructure bill, which could generate a lot of funds to our state. If it's possible, we don't know. And so then maybe that's something that before you go ahead and implement the tolls that you want to take a look at. Just one more thing. So I really think that it's a burden on our taxpayers. It's above and beyond the other increased taxes we're all going to be facing already from the state of Connecticut. And I would ask you to support this resolution.
And there are other towns that have done this already.
I just feel we have a real lack of information here. We don't even have a completed plan yet. They're still working on the plan. And for me, I know that federal legislation requires some things if you do tolls. I'm not sure what those things are. I'm not sure what the amount of money that they have estimated that is required to fix our roads and bridges. I know some of these bridges are really in dangerous conditions, and I don't know what the proposal, I don't like the fact that we're going to depend on bonded indebtedness, and I know that most of us here at the council table try to keep that in a reduced fashion as much as we can. So there are so many unknowns out there. I have difficulty looking at this, not knowing where the figures came from, not knowing what the actual proposal is going to be, not knowing what the amount that is actually needed to fix our roads and bridges and the amount of time that would be estimated to move forward on these projects. I feel a real lack of information for me. So
I would agree with that. I would like to actually table this for later consideration until we can have more facts and data to verify what is written in this resolution. And I think it's very important for the people of Coventry to know that we are acting as a council in the best interest of our town.
is that a motion to table?
I move to
There's
table.
already a motion out here, though.
But you can move to table.
So can I have...
Is there a second to the motion to table?
I'll second that.
Can I comment on the table?
No comments on a motion to table.
So that was the plan.
So it will be a call to vote. All in favor of tabling this until adequate information is available, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion opposed, the motion fails.
So may I speak? So I agree with you that the state has been stingy with information, and I believe it's done on purpose. They have not put forward a plan as to how they would use the funds. They have not put forward a plan showing that they actually need the funds. They've not put forward any information as to how the funds that have been in the past appropriated for transportation have been used. They put forward no cost savings effort whatsoever, no study into how we can save money on a per mile basis. And what they are instead proposing is they're going to pass the bill, and then it's going to be the creation of another body that's going to then make the determination of those final decisions. So you're not going to know all of these things before they pass the bill. That's another reason why I'm opposed to it now. And I think that we should oppose it. If they put forward a real plan and you could get behind it, that's one thing. This is not a real plan, and we're at the mercy of whatever group decides in the future. So I think it's terrible. I think it's the wrong way to go for our citizens.
Any further discussion?
One last question.
John?
I'd like to say something about it. I'd like to say that the issue is very important. It is a bipartisan issue. It's going to affect all of us.
Yes.
Very clearly, it's inappropriate for us to pass this resolution at this time because of the lack of information that would be the supporting argument behind any of these things. There is no clearly defined plan out there right now, as you basically just alluded to.
Right.
So we're all singing the same song there, which is, we don't have enough information, so I don't think we should preclude our future actions based on, with a lack of information. I don't think it's
I think it
proper to do that.
I think it
this time.
behooves the state to put forward an actual plan.
Oh, sure.
And let
But
people
that
know
doesn't mean
what
about our
I think
actions
it's
here at the
great,
council
But
table.
that's not the intent of the state, and I oppose to what they're proposing, and that is to go forward.
You made that clear.
And Pat, may I slip in? You just want to talk more? Go ahead.
I learned it somewhere.
I need to recognize people, please, and I recognize John. I didn't recognize you, Matt, but that's fine. That's fine. I do know that tonight it did say on the news that they may go into an extra session just to address this issue. So I know that the information still is being developed. Matt?
As far as the bonding, my understanding of the proposal from the Republicans is not to do additional bonding, which seems to be the impression that is being left. What they're saying is prioritizing much of the bonding that we're doing. That might mean some certain local projects don't get done, but they're putting transportation as a main issue, and then therefore trying to direct much of that bonding towards those issues.
Do you have any sense of what those type of things that wouldn't get done? Those local projects that might not get done, the types of things those might be?
Would those be our projects?
I think that they talked about things like perhaps playgrounds or different things of that nature, but
They really don't know. I know, like,
it's really
on town-
prioritizing what.
Yeah, no,
they're
I
recognizing-
understand. I
They're
just-
recognizing that we take a lot of money from the taxpayers and we're not doing our job on the roads, so we're going to make that a priority. Other things then would come second, and if we have additional ability to do that, then those would be done as well.
But again,
I
we
guess-
don't have accurate information, and the town aid to roads is one of the things that's bonded every year.
So you want to wait till after they pass it and give it to an authority that's who's going to make decisions?
I would like to at least see what is actually proposed, because we don't know what is going to be proposed. It's still information.
Okay.
But anyway, the motion is still on the floor. The motion to table failed, so the motion is still on the floor. So I would be glad to call for a vote if there's no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no.
No?
Again, the motion fails. We have to have 4 votes for anything to pass.
Unless we only had 5 present, then 3 to do. Is it a quorum 5?
Thank you for putting that. Charter says 4 affirmative votes for anything except to establish the next meeting date.